If you are over 60, one small mistake at breakfast can push your blood sugar up like a rocket, then drop it like a stone before lunch. That shaky, sleepy, foggy feeling is not just getting older. It can be your body struggling to handle sugar. And here is the surprise. One common kitchen spice may help calm that roller coaster when you use it the right way, in the right amount, and with the right meal. Not a miracle, not a cure. But in as little as 7 days, many people can start seeing steadier numbers and fewer crashes. Stay with me, because what matters most is not just the spice. It is how your body responds after 60. I'm Dr. Alina Serratia, and for years I've focused on senior metabolic health, food-based support, and the tiny daily habits that change how people feel. What I'm sharing today is grounded in major health sources and peer-reviewed research, not wishful thinking. Mayo Clinic and the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health both say the evidence on cinnamon is mixed, and I appreciate that honesty because health education should never sound like a sales pitch. At the same time, Cleveland Clinic, randomized clinical research in adults with prediabetes, and recent PubMed reviews suggest cinnamon may offer modest help for fasting glucose, insulin resistance, and after-meal control when used consistently and safely. That matters for older adults, because national diabetes experts also warn that seniors face extra risk from blood sugar swings, medication interactions, brain fog, and dangerous low-sugar episodes. Here's what is happening inside your body. Think of your bloodstream like a highway and glucose like delivery trucks. After you eat, those trucks flood the road. Insulin is the traffic officer that tells the trucks where to go. But after 60, your cells often stop listening as well. The officer waves, but the doors stay half closed, so sugar stays in the blood longer. Then your body panics. It sends out more insulin to force the sugar out. Sometimes that works too hard and too late. Now your sugar drops fast. You feel shaky, hungry, tired, sweaty, or strangely anxious. That is why so many people say, I feel fine after breakfast, then I crash at 10:30. It is not random, it is a pattern. And when this keeps happening, the damage adds up. Too much sugar moving through your blood is a little like syrup running through fine plumbing. Over time, it stresses the lining of your blood vessels, your eyes, your kidneys, your nerves, and even your brain. For seniors, the danger is not only high sugar, it is the swing between high and low. That swing can drain confidence. It can make you afraid to walk, drive, exercise, or even leave the house. There is also a hidden layer many people do not think about. When blood sugar rises and falls hard, your appetite gets confused. Your brain starts chasing fast energy, so you reach for crackers, juice, toast, cookies, or another cup of sweetened coffee. That gives you quick relief, but only for a little while. Then the same pattern repeats. It is like patching a roof leak with paper towels. You may catch the drip for a moment, but the storm is still coming through. Many people try to solve this by simply eating less sugar. That helps, but it is often not enough. Others skip meals, which can make the crashes worse. Some buy random supplements with huge promises and no plan. Some go all in for 2 days, then quit because they expected a miracle by Wednesday. And this is where it gets interesting. One overlooked spice may help put a gentle brake on the whole process, but only if you stop using the wrong kind, the wrong dose, and the wrong expectations. Before I show you the 7-day plan, take 1 second to subscribe and tell me your country in the comments. I love seeing where our wellness family is growing. Join our family of wellness seekers, because what you learn here is about feeling stronger, steadier, and more confident in your own body. And keep watching, because in a moment, I'll explain the biggest cinnamon mistake older adults make, and it is the reason many people get no benefit at all. The spice is cinnamon, but not just any cinnamon. The form I want you to focus on is Ceylon cinnamon, often called true cinnamon. This matters because the cheaper supermarket kind is usually cassia cinnamon, and cassia contains much more coumarin, a natural compound that can become a problem for the liver when used in larger amounts over time. That is especially important if you are older, take several medicines, or already have liver concerns. Now, why does cinnamon get so much attention? First, some studies suggest it may help your cells respond better to insulin. Imagine insulin as a key and your cells as front doors. Cinnamon may help the rusty lock turn a little more smoothly. Second, it may slightly slow how quickly food leaves your stomach. That means glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually instead of all at once. Third, cinnamon contains plant compounds called polyphenols, which may help lower oxidative stress and inflammation, two processes that often rise when blood sugar stays high too often. And this is where it gets especially interesting for people over 60. When digestion slows, muscle mass drops, sleep changes, and medications pile up, your blood sugar control becomes less forgiving. Small meal choices hit harder. A sweet breakfast that once gave you energy can now knock you flat. A skipped lunch that used to be no big deal can now make you shaky and confused. That is why I like food-based support that is simple, low cost, and easy to repeat. Cinnamon fits that role better than trendy powders and expensive blends. But here is the hidden truth most viral videos leave out. Cinnamon is not a replacement for your doctor, your medicine, or your glucose monitoring. It is best viewed as a helper, a support, an add-on that may make a good plan work better. That matters because the strongest sources do not say cinnamon cures diabetes. They say it may offer modest benefit, and the results vary depending on the dose, the form, the study design, and the person. That is actually good news. Why? Because it means you do not need magical thinking. You need a realistic, safe routine. In the clinical trial on adults with prediabetes, cinnamon was used consistently for weeks, not just once. In meta-analyses, the overall signal is promising but mixed. So today, I'm not giving you fantasy. I'm giving you a 7-day reset that helps you use cinnamon the smart way while paying attention to what your body tells you. One more thing. Popular videos often say cinnamon works overnight or beats medication all by itself. I do not agree with that framing. The better way to think about it is like seasoning a soup. A small amount can change the whole pot, but it still needs good ingredients underneath. If your meals are built on sweet drinks, refined bread, and long hours of sitting, cinnamon cannot carry that load alone. But if your plate already has some balance, this spice may help tip the day in your favor. There is also a reason the research sounds mixed, even when the idea is promising. Different studies used different forms, different doses, different lengths of time, and different people. Some used capsules, some used powder, some studied prediabetes, some studied type 2 diabetes. That does not mean cinnamon is useless. It means you should expect variation. Your body is not a copy of a study subject. That is why the smartest question is never, does it work for everyone? The smartest question is, does it help me safely? On day 1, I want you to make one swap only. Replace cassia with Ceylon cinnamon. Then sprinkle 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon on a real breakfast, not a sugary pastry. Think plain oatmeal with nuts, plain Greek yogurt with chia, or eggs with a slice of whole grain toast and berries on the side. What happens first is not magic. You are simply adding a gentler spice to a meal that already gives you more protein, fiber, or healthy fat. That mix slows the flood of sugar into your blood. Picture putting a thumb over a garden hose. The water still comes out, but not as a wild blast. Many people notice less sleepiness after breakfast on this very first day. I want you to pay attention to the first 3 hours after that meal. Do you feel steadier? Do you get hungry later than usual? Are you less tempted to raid the kitchen? This matters because your body often speaks before your meter does. Numbers are important, but symptoms are also data. If you finish breakfast and can actually think clearly, move comfortably, and get through the morning without that urgent craving, you are already learning something useful. On day 2, keep the same amount, but take it with your most carb-heavy meal of the day. If lunch is your sandwich meal, use it there. If dinner is your rice or potato meal, use it there. Here is why. Cinnamon seems to work best when it arrives with the carbohydrates you want to slow down. It is like putting a speed bump where traffic is actually speeding. A 71-year-old retired teacher once told me she stopped putting cinnamon in her bedtime tea and started using it with breakfast and lunch instead. Within 2 weeks, her mid-morning fog was far less intense, and her numbers after meals looked calmer. This is also the day to stop thinking of cinnamon as a sprinkle for sweets only. Use it on oatmeal, cottage cheese, unsweetened apples, roasted carrots, winter squash, or even in a rub for chicken. Older adults do better when a health habit fits real life. If your plan is awkward, you will not keep it. But if the spice is already sitting beside the salt and pepper, the habit becomes almost automatic. On day 3, your job is to notice the crash, not just the spike. This is the part people miss. They focus only on the highest number. But how you feel 2 hours later matters just as much. Are you calmer? Less shaky? Less desperate for a snack? Less irritable? When cinnamon helps, the first sign is often not a dramatic drop in fasting sugar. It is a smoother landing. Think of an airplane touching down on a runway instead of bouncing hard onto it. That softer landing may mean your insulin response is becoming less chaotic. If you use a continuous glucose monitor, look for fewer sharp mountains and more rounded hills. If you use a fingerstick monitor, compare one meal to the same meal on another day. The goal is not a perfect graph. The goal is less drama. Too much drama in blood sugar is exhausting, and exhausted people make harder choices. They move less. They snack more. They sleep worse. They feel discouraged. So when you reduce the swing, you often improve far more than glucose alone. On day 4, move up only if you are tolerating it well. That means no stomach upset, no mouth irritation, and no signs of low blood sugar. Many adults do fine at 1/2 teaspoon daily. Some choose to go up to 1 teaspoon total per day, split between meals. I do not want you jumping to large spoonfuls because more is not always better. This is cooking, not a contest. And remember, the evidence on cinnamon shows modest effects. So safe consistency beats aggressive dosing every time. This is also the right time to remember the difference between support and substitute. I do not want you lowering medications on your own because you saw a pretty graph for 2 days. Let your numbers guide a conversation with your clinician. Think of cinnamon as one helpful player on the team, not the entire team. The strongest blood sugar routine still includes balanced meals, movement, sleep, stress control, and proper medication use when needed. On day 5, pair your cinnamon routine with a 10-minute walk after your main meal. Now you create a team. The cinnamon may help with digestion speed and insulin response, while the walk helps your muscles use glucose right away. Muscles are like sugar sponges. When they contract, they pull glucose out of the blood for fuel. This simple combo is powerful because it works with your biology, not against it. A 68-year-old former bus driver told me that after 3 weeks of doing exactly this, he stopped needing that emergency cookie every afternoon because the heavy slump after lunch finally eased. And if walking is hard, use what you can do. March in place while the kettle boils. Walk the hallway, stand and sit from a chair 10 times. Hold the kitchen counter and do gentle calf raises. Water does not care whether the pipe is fancy. It only cares whether the pipe is open. Your body is the same way. Gentle movement after meals still helps open the door for glucose to leave the blood. On day 6, pay attention to cravings. This is where many people get surprised. When blood sugar stops shooting up and crashing down, the brain often stops yelling for quick fuel. You may notice fewer urges for bread, cookies, juice, or sweets late in the day. That happens because the roller coaster is slowing. Imagine your body as a furnace. If the fire keeps flaring and dying, you keep throwing in paper just to keep it alive. But when the fire burns steady, you stop feeding it junk every hour. That is what steadier blood sugar can feel like. This can also change mood. Not in a dramatic movie scene way, but in a quiet, important way. Less irritation, less panic, less helpless snacking, more patience, more energy to cook, more confidence to go outside. Health changes often begin in these unglamorous moments. You stand up and realize you do not feel heavy. You finish lunch and realize you are not sleepy. You open the pantry and realize the craving is not screaming anymore. On day 7, review your week honestly. Do not ask, did cinnamon cure me? Ask better questions. Did I feel steadier after meals? Did I have less brain fog? Did I snack less from desperation? Did my monitor show smaller spikes or fewer dips? Did I feel safer and more in control? If the answer is yes, then your body is telling you something important. This small habit may be worth keeping. A 73-year-old retired bookkeeper once went from nodding off in her chair every afternoon to feeling alert enough to take evening walks after adding Ceylon cinnamon to breakfast and using a short post-dinner walk for 1 month. That is the kind of real win I care about. Here is the bigger lesson. The goal is not to fix blood sugar with one heroic ingredient. The goal is to create less friction inside your body, better signals, gentler digestion, more stable energy, fewer swings. Cinnamon may help with that. And when one small habit makes the next habit easier, everything begins to stack in your favor. Now let me give you the caution section, because this part can protect you. Do not use this approach casually if you take insulin, sulfonylureas, or other glucose-lowering drugs without talking to your healthcare provider first. Older adults have a higher risk of hypoglycemia, especially when multiple medicines are involved. Low blood sugar can look like confusion, weakness, shakiness, sweating, blurred vision, or even a fall. If you already get lows, you must be extra careful. If you have liver disease, do not use large amounts of cassia cinnamon. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, stick to normal food amounts only unless your clinician tells you otherwise. If you take blood thinners, cancer medicines, nicotine replacement, or several prescriptions at once, ask your pharmacist or doctor to review possible interactions. If cinnamon gives you mouth irritation, rash, stomach burning, or digestive upset, stop and reassess. And if your fasting sugars are very high, your readings are wildly unstable, or you have symptoms like weight loss, extreme thirst, frequent urination, blurry vision, or repeated lows, you need medical evaluation, not spice experiments. Also, please do not believe the idea that if a little is good, a lot must be great. That is how older adults get into trouble with herbs and supplements. More powder does not mean more healing. It may simply mean more irritation, more interaction risk, or more false confidence. You are not trying to overpower your body. You are trying to support it. So how do you actually do this in daily life? Keep it simple. Buy Ceylon. Cinnamon labeled true cinnamon, if possible. Start with 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon daily on food. If you do well, you may work up to about 1 teaspoon total daily, divided with meals. Sprinkle it on oatmeal, plain yogurt, cottage cheese, apples, pears, sweet potatoes, or even into a smoothie with protein and fiber. You can stir some into coffee, but I prefer using it with food, so it becomes part of a slower, steadier meal. Timing matters. Use it with the meal you want to tame, not randomly at night, and not as a standalone remedy. Pair it with protein, fiber, or healthy fat whenever you can. Cinnamon on a donut is still a donut. Cinnamon on sweet cereal is still fast sugar. I want the spice to support a solid foundation, not decorate a problem. If you track your glucose, check before the meal and again about 1 to 2 hours later. Watch for patterns, not perfection. If you do not track with a monitor, use your body as a clue. Write down your energy, hunger, cravings, shakiness, and sleepiness after meals for 1 week. That gives you a map. And please keep your expectations honest. Some people feel a difference in days. Changes in fasting glucose or A1C, when they happen, usually take longer. This is a support habit, not an overnight rescue. I also want you to think beyond the kitchen. Sleep affects blood sugar. Stress affects blood sugar. Long sitting affects blood sugar. Loss of muscle affects blood sugar. Cinnamon cannot do those jobs for you, but it may make your day feel stable enough that you can do those jobs better. That is what I care about most. A habit that creates momentum. What should you expect over the next few weeks if this is helping? In the first several days, the most common changes are steadier energy, fewer cravings, and smaller after-meal crashes. Over a few weeks, some people notice fasting numbers drifting lower, especially when cinnamon is paired with better breakfasts and short walks. Over 2 to 3 months, your A1C may improve if the whole routine is working, but that is something to confirm with your healthcare team. I want you to think in layers. First, you feel better. Then, your patterns improve. Then, your longer-term numbers may follow. I also recommend a very simple tracking page on your fridge. Write the date, the meal, how much Ceylon cinnamon you used, your energy 2 hours later, and whether you had cravings or shakiness. That takes less than a minute, but it turns guesswork into evidence. Seniors do especially well when they can see progress in black and white. It is like checking weather patterns instead of arguing about one cloudy day. The more you notice, the better choices you make. Here is my bottom line. If you are over 60, Ceylon cinnamon may be one of the simplest and safest small helpers for steadier blood sugar when you use it daily, in modest amounts, and as part of a balanced meal. It is affordable, it is easy, and the science, while not perfect, is strong enough to make it worth a careful try for many people. If this helped you, type yes in the comments. Like this video, share it with someone who needs steadier mornings, and subscribe for more senior wellness guidance. Your body can change at any age, and sometimes the first step really is as small as a daily sprinkle.